of one Paige Bueckers. Oh, she's better than Caitlin Clark. I mean, stab me in the eye with a spoon, for Christ's sakes. Wow. So that's a thing right now. Last night, Paige Bueckers dropped 44 points. And we're going to look at a video that just dissects and exposes a lot of that shit. Let me tell you. It exposes a lot of stuff involving Paige Bueckers getting special treatment on the court.
Last night, the hype train officially crashed. Paige Bueckers, the player the media has been hyping as the next Caitlin Clark, finally got her moment on the big stage. But instead of proving herself, she was exposed in front of everyone. What was sold as her breakout game turned into pure humiliation, with fans blasting her performance and calling the media's narrative a complete hoax. In this video, we're breaking down exactly how Paige went from future face of the league to being destroyed on live TV. From the brutal defensive blueprint Seattle used to shut her down, to the shocking numbers that collapsed under pressure, to the fan backlash that may have ended her hype for good. And by the end, you'll see why the comparisons to Caitlin Clark were never even close to reality. Let's get into it.
In a game against the Los Angeles Sparks, scoring 44 points, but the craziest part about that was her shooting percentage. She shot over 80% from the field, and I tweeted about that, and I was like, that's actually insane. Give props where they are due. Shooting over 80%, scoring 44 points is actually insane. But with this game, like Paige Bueckers she put on a masterclass in scoring. And I think with that, these are some big numbers.
She got doubled. And do you want to know what she did as soon as she got blitzed in doubles? She passed. Paige Bueckers, look, she played decent amount early in the game. The game was kind of over and she got subbed out. Paige Bueckers shot 7 times.
The Paige Bueckers hype machine finally hit a wall, and it wasn't pretty. After weeks of being paraded as the next Caitlin Clark, the so-called savior of women's basketball walked into a hostile matchup and got completely shut down. ESPN and the media had been spoon-feeding fans this fantasy of Paige, the golden child ready to surpass Clark. But the truth is, when the lights came on and the defense tightened, Paige folded. What was supposed to be her coronation turned into an exposure session in front of a national audience. For the first time, Bueckers wasn't treated with soft coverage or wide-open mid-range looks.
Bueckers, let me ask you this. How did it feel to be blitzed and played 94 feet before you even get a chance to bring the ball up court like your name was Caitlin Clark, a.k.a. my precious CC? You didn't like that, huh? You hear me? You out there was looking like you was about to cry. Yeah, so what do your fans have to say now? Excuse me, where are your Paige Bueckers fans at? That's y'all MVP and face of the league, right? She's boring. She's not good enough. She gets special treatment. But understand, she kept getting blitz after blitz after blitz.
The Seattle stormed through the full Clark treatment at her traps, double teams, physicality, the exact defense Caitlin has been dealing with for over a year. And the result? Disaster. 11 points, 0 assists, 2 rebounds, and a shooting line that looked like it belonged to a rookie completely out of her depth. The Paige Bueckers narrative, carefully crafted by networks desperate for another star, was ripped apart in real time. This wasn't just about one bad game. It was about exposing the media's obsession with manufacturing rivalries that don't exist. For months, Paige was painted as the more efficient, more polished version of Caitlin Clark. They hyped her shooting percentages, they hyped her highlight packages, and they hyped her as the one who could save the league if Clark wasn't around. But numbers without context are worthless. Clark has been targeted every single night with physical, borderline violent defense. Paige. She had been coasting against soft coverages until now. The moment Paige finally got that same defensive treatment, everything collapsed. That fake efficiency disappeared instantly. Those pretty stats were revealed for what they really were, padding against easy defenses. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark has been thriving under pressure that would break most players. That's why fans aren't buying the narrative anymore. You can't crown a new star just because you want one. Greatness can't be manufactured. Paige Bueckers learned that lesson the hard way.
Time we saw Paige really get guarded. This is where we saw what is going to happen in year 2. This is the scout report that needs to be out there on Paige Bueckers once the Dallas Wings get good, because Dallas Wings are going to get good at some stage in her career. This was the game where I'm like, okay, we can shut up.
Said it best. This kid's in for a rude awakening. And they all jumped over her, but they didn't read the whole thing that she said. But nobody's printing. Diana Taurasi was right. This kid's on the wrong team. She's got the wrong skill set to handle the physicality of that league, and she's a rookie. And if you're a WNBA player, if you're any kind of player, you're going to say, I'm going to make a statement.
Seattle didn't just beat Paige, they exposed a weakness the entire league will now exploit. Coach Noelle Quinn flat out said before tip-off, it was time to see if Paige could handle the Caitlin Clark treatment. Her team swarmed Paige with physical defense, blitzes, and rotations, forcing her to give up the ball and never look for it again. She disappeared not just statistically, but mentally. That's the difference between someone who thrives under pressure and someone who shrinks from it. What's worse for Paige is that now every team has the blueprint. You cut off her spots, you body her up, and you force her into contested looks. That soft mid-range game vanishes, and suddenly the flawless package everyone hyped looks average at best. The same thing Clark has been surviving night after night broke Paige in one game. The so-called next face of the WNBA couldn't handle what Clark has normalized. That's not superstar DNA, that's exposure.
Clark treatment for the first time in her career, and it looked bad. It looked real bad. Everybody was running around. Yeah, she was cooking 44 points versus the Sparks. They didn't play a lick of defense, letting this girl play one-on-one basketball in every area of the floor, letting her post up in the mid-range area one-on-one. Now, I'm giving credit. She's a bucket in one-on-one, especially from that mid-range, from the free throw line down area. But this is the first time we watch teams actively be persistent about taking away her spots and what she wants to do.
It's going to be important to be physical with like Paige Bueckers. Can you talk about the defensive game plan for Dallas and like how your team was able to hold them to their fewest points of the season?
Yeah, it started, with our attention to detail with Paige. I thought, Slim was very physical, stayed in her space, and the actions that we guarded her in, we were very aggressive, showed multiple bodies, and kind of, made her hesitant to use the ball screen a little bit. I thought we rotated well.
On paper, Paige Bueckers looked like she was outpacing Caitlin Clark. Analysts screamed about how Paige hit 200 points and 50 assists faster than Clark. They highlighted her higher shooting percentages, framing her as more efficient, but context matters. Clark was carrying an expansion-level Indiana Fever squad, drawing every defensive scheme in the book while still putting up generational numbers. Paige, meanwhile, racked up stats against teams that weren't even guarding her like a star. When Seattle flipped that switch, the efficiency narrative fell apart instantly. 2 makes on 11 attempts, 0 assists. That's not a bad night, that's proof the hype was hollow. The numbers Clark puts up come through relentless punishment, constant targeting, and league-wide pressure. Paige's numbers came in a bubble that popped the second someone actually tested it. That's why the comparisons were always ridiculous, and why this game ripped the mask off completely.
Engelbert is breathing a sigh of relief. Her pretend friends in the mainstream media, they are trying to crown a new star. If the media has it their way, this could potentially be the new face of pretend basketball. And it's not just the woke media. There are even some in conservative media who are voluntarily biting into the shit sandwich. Headline at Outkick: "No Caitlin, no problem. Paige Bueckers can save the WNBA season."
It's a little bit different out here when you get Caitlin Clark treatment. It ain't so easy peasy getting to play one-on-one, getting to just do your thing how you want to do it, when you want to do it.
This game proves something fans already knew. There is no next Caitlin Clark. Clark isn't just another scorer. She's a once-in-a-generation force who has already carried the WNBA to record attendance, new TV deals, and massive merchandise sales. She redefined what women's basketball could be. Paige, on the other hand, is a nice player with some talent, but she's not Clark, and pretending otherwise is an insult to both the game and the fans. Caitlin Clark has been hacked, fouled, and targeted more than anyone in the league. 17% of all flagrant fouls last season were committed against her alone. She's lived in that storm and thrived. Paige got one taste of it and shriveled. That's the difference between hype and history. Clark is writing history every single night. Paige just got written off.
She had 0 assists and 11 points. 0 assists. 0. 0 assists. I don't like. That's mental. That's mental for a player that they were trying to say was better than Caitlin Clark. And I'm not even going to say, oh yeah, the points are everything. Points aren't everything at the end of the day. Assists aren't everything. Like, all of these individual stats aren't everything. It was just the fact that she literally, how many blitzes did the Indiana or how many open shots did the Indiana Fever get off a Caitlin Clark blitz?
Every time the blitz came her way, give up the ball and never look to get it back again. She just gave up. That is what we are talking about. You guys are running around and acting like everybody's getting guarded like Caitlin Clark, and it's not the truth. It's not facts at all. It's not facts at all. Paige Bueckers finally got a taste of a glimpse of what
Fans aren't stupid. They see the agendas ESPN and other outlets are trying to push. They see the highlight reels, the endless talk about Paige's poise and polish, and they also see the reality when she collapses under pressure. Social media exploded after the game, not with praise, but with memes, jokes, and criticism of how quickly the Paige is better than Clark narrative died. The Emperor had no clothes, and fans called it out immediately. The problem for the WNBA is bigger than Paige herself. The league keeps trying to manufacture rivalries, hoping to copy-paste Clark's success onto other players. But you can't fake generational talent. You can't create another Tiger Woods, another Serena Williams, or another LeBron James just because you want one. Greatness can't be replicated, and Paige Bueckers just proved that.
Yeah, not enough. But if her name was Caitlin Clark, I bet she would have had at least 9 to 10 assists. You hear me? Because she's more than just a scorer. You hear me? Unlike Paige Bueckers, she's only a scorer. She's not dynamic. She's boring. You hear me? Clearly, she fits the narrative, but she can't handle being double team or triple team.
Hey, Paige Bueckers will save the WNBA season this season? The same Paige Bueckers that's dating Elmer Fudd? The same Paige that plays in front of empty civic centers for the Dallas Wankers? You expect me to believe she is going to save the WNBA season? She can't even sell out home games. Matter of fact, she doesn't come anywhere close to selling out games. The Wankers rank near the bottom of the league in attendance.
The fallout from this game isn't just about one player's bad night, it's about the collapse of a media narrative. For months, Paige was built up as the savior, the one who could keep the WNBA relevant if Clark wasn't around. But once the illusion broke, there was no putting it back together. Fans aren't buying into the hype anymore. They're buying into Clark. Meanwhile, Paige's own team, the Dallas Wings, are a mess. Drafted #1 overall, handed every opportunity and still stuck at the bottom of the standings. Contrast that with Clark, who dragged a struggling Fever franchise to playoff contention in year 1. That's the difference between hype and impact.
Player like Paige, it's not just relying on, your guards, whoever has a main matchup, but it becomes a team picture and understanding, rotations on the ball, off the ball. And I think the other thing that we did, early on, we rebounded decently out of it. We didn't give up too many. I think it was 12-second chance points at the half, but not a lot of deflating possessions after having a lot of deflections and things like that.
How the WNBA played against Caitlin Clark in terms of the defensive strategy, in terms of the other basketball teams around the WNBA, what they did against Caitlin Clark versus how they've handled Paige this year. Everybody wants to act like Paige is so much better than Caitlin. They're certainly not playing defense on Paige the way they played on Caitlin. They're certainly not attacking her with unnecessary fouls the way they attacked Caitlin with unnecessary fouls last year. So in the 2024 season, there were 35 flagrant fouls called. Caitlin Clark received 17% of the entire season's flagrant fouls, 17%. I mean, we've seen all the injuries. We've seen all the fights, the MMA fights that the WNBA players have gotten into this year. There haven't been 35 flagrant fouls called.
Paige was supposed to be the star who saved the season. Instead, she couldn't even save her own reputation. August 22, 2025 should go down in history as the night the Paige Bueckers hoax ended. One game, one defense, one reality check, and the entire narrative collapsed. Seattle didn't just beat her, they pulled back the curtain on everything the media had been trying to sell. Paige isn't the next Caitlin Clark. She's not even in the same conversation. The truth is simple. There is Caitlin Clark and then there's everybody else. Paige Bueckers is a solid player, but she doesn't have Clark's resilience, Clark's impact, or Clark's ability to carry a league on her shoulders. Fans know it, the media now knows it, and after this game, Paige herself probably knows it too. The mask is off and the exposure is complete.